Welcome back to Mountain Connections. Right now, we are honored to have Andy Bailey joining us here virtually. You know him from Jack Caps, but right now he is a candidate for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society Man and Women of the Year. Andy, thanks so much for being here today.
Thank you, Christine. I can't, tell you how happy I am to be here representing the LLS organization and foundation.
Well, this is very exciting news, and this is a really big thing for you to do, ultimately to help raise funds for this society. But tell me more about this Man and Woman of the Year that's a part of the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society.
Okay, so for one, I'd like to thank Lisa Finney for involving me. She is the one that is currently working with the LLS, and she and I were working together in the mortgage industry just recently, and we got to talking about music and about our history and about Jack Caps and just about everything kind of that I had been working through over about the last 10 years. And when we started going through everything, I had explained that I designed a product to try and, improve patient care and reduce risk in critical situations by protecting the tips of the cables for heart monitors where we had seen failure. And after talking about it, I explained to her that if I can get the product going to the point that I think we can, I'd also like to take a portion of those proceeds to develop a program called the Working Patient Program. And that's where she and I just really clicked. The Working Patient Program would basically be a temp hire service for people going through chemotherapy and cancer situations of all sorts. So often we are blasted by this, obviously unexpectedly and unwillingly, and it really limits our ability to work. It limits our ability to take care of ourselves and our families. And quite often that strain alone can be as much or worse than the actual sickness itself. And so what we're trying to do is build a hub of employers that can provide the type of employment and the flexibility to work with people that are going through these situations to where maybe they can work some days, maybe they can't work other days, maybe they can be around people, maybe they can't. And so in my case, I was completely neutropenic. I couldn't be within 6 feet of people. I couldn't be around dust or diesel fumes. And it just really limited what I had always done. And so when we saw this need, I told Lisa, I said, I got to get this going, but I don't have the resources and I don't have really the knowledge to do this. And she said, Andy, we do. She said, not only do we see the need, but we completely understand where you're coming from and would love to support you. And so that's when we decided to team up on this and really try and create as much advocacy for the LLS, who does so much for so many people currently, and then try and really just rally both of our resources together to not only knock out this fundraising campaign, but then create the Working Patient Program so that we can hit it exponentially.
And you have a very memorable and intriguing story about why you're doing this, why you decided to help change how these cords, how these wires are done within a medical community, and also why you have this working patient group that you're very concerned about. So tell me a little bit about your journey and what has led to where you are.
For sure, Christine, I appreciate it. In 2009, I had my little boy, and he was my first and only, and he was born at the end of July. And 6 days later, I went into ICU with total kidney failure, total liver failure, total paralysis of my face, and basically wasn't given much of a shot. And so while I was in ICU, after I became conscious a couple of times, there were several times that all of a sudden the door would bust open and the doctors and nurses would come, running in a chaotic manner, and they thought I was flatlining. And it turned out I just had a bad cable, and it had probably been damaged somewhere between ER and ICU. So then when it got plugged back in, it just was given a faulty signal. And so if that tip could have been protected during transportation, changing of rooms, that type of thing, we really could have reduced all of that chaos and all of that crisis situation. My mom, she was in the room at the time, and she was just sitting there reading her Kindle, and all of a sudden it would just blow up. And so we really saw how much it impacted the medical industry at that point. And also to go along with that, where this stemmed from too was I'm also a musician, and so I was playing shows, and this is after I had been hit with cancer. This is during recovery. I was playing shows, and sure enough, my cables would get stepped on, or spilled on, or rained on, or damaged during transportation, and so I saw that same exact problem in the music industry. And that's kind of what got me working on the Jack Caps. And then when we crossed it back into the situation in ICU, we realized this was something that we needed to get out there. This was something that needed to be in the market. In the music industry, it's annoying and it can cause problems that way. But in the medical industry or even the military industry, the communications and the signal is so important that it's definitely something that we wanted to address. And so that's where, Jack Caps came from. And then because of that broad span of the types of industries that it should be able to help and contribute to and, improve performance, that's where we're thinking we can take, a portion of the proceeds. We're going to take, every bit of 10 to 15% of the proceeds that we get from the Jack Caps to go towards the working patient program and towards developing that concept and working with the LLS to make sure we utilize all of our resources, whether it's accounting or, legal information, all the way to starting to build the core group of employers that are aware of this concept and that can provide this type of employment. So, we're thinking along the lines of being able to do work on computers, being able to log on the days that you feel healthy enough or you feel strong enough, and then really address that concept of being able to take care of themselves, people being able to take care of themselves or their children while they're not able to work. One of the biggest things that I saw following my treatments was that concept of not wanting to feel like a burden to anyone, not wanting to have to do fundraisers, not wanting to have to, have my hand out in any way, shape, or form. But at the same time, I just didn't know what I could do because it was so limited. And that's something that we want to address. When I would go to my treatments, my follow-up treatments, they would ask me, they'd say, how are you feeling mentally? How are you, any feeling is depression or anything? And at first I'd think, well, we won, we beat it, what would we be depressed about? But then it really sat in, just how it affects people differently and how it can linger. And that's the whole concept of the working patient program, and really the root of how Lisa and I and the LLS became in contact with each other, and our goal to reach out to everyone for that one question of what are we all willing to do to help children with cancer? What are we all willing to do to stop cancer? And that's where this campaign, I feel like, is an opportunity to really represent that concept.
I can't even imagine how tough your journey was to get that devastating diagnosis with a newborn. You go through the treatments, you beat it, and then because of the effects of what you went through, you can't work, and just, really difficult. And you're right, many people are very challenged with this. I'm very impressed by your working patient program. And I do have an example of Jack Caps. We have them right here on Park City Television.
That's great.
We use them
That's
for our
great.
cables, so they're very versatile. You can use them whether you're in the medical community, musicians, here at our television studios. So I'm just very impressed with you, Andy, and I'm wondering what we can do to help support you in your journey as being this Man Women of the Year candidate for the LLS.
Right now we're definitely looking for contributions, and we're looking for corporate sponsorships. This is a 100% tax write-off, just like so many great foundations out there and nonprofit organizations out there. But right now, until May 21st, we are asking everyone, to please just reach deep and show us what they're willing to do for kids with cancer, and really helping those families and all of us. We're all affected by it one way or another, whether it's our friends, our families, ourselves, or whoever it may be. And so this is one of those preventive deals that we're doing where we want to do the research and development to stop these and provide better treatments. That's one of the things I didn't mention that LLS is so focused on, is providing more site-specific treatments to where it's not going to be detrimental to anywhere else in the body. It's not going to cause lingering effects later on in life, such as strokes, heart attacks, and other things that could wipe us out just as easily. And so that's what this money goes directly towards. And so for right now, if you could, go to the manandwomanoftheyear.com website. And so that's MWOY.com, and that is the the main website for the fundraiser. Go to the Salt Lake district, and then my name will be on there, and just please go. And we're called the Cancer Killers, and that's a big part about this too, is we are building a team. This isn't at all about me. This is about us building a team. Our team is called the Cancer Killers. We are reaching out to all of our friends, all of our alumni, all of our support group, and then asking them to also reach out and just build a huge team this year to help the LLS.
Well, thank you so much, Andy Bailey, for joining us today right here on Mountain Connections. It's been a pleasure hearing about your story, and exciting to hear how you are dedicating time and money to the Leukemia Lymphoma Society for this Man and Woman of the Year. So I encourage you to find out more about Andy Bailey on that site. Just head to the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society site and look up Man and Woman of the Year, and you will find Andy Bailey there. And also to find out more about his product, Jack Caps, you can head to jackcaps.com. We'll be back with more right after this.